Just 1 minute. She's
Oh,
on
she's
the way, I
coming.
believe, yes. Because she went home and coming, so I think that's just...
It's okay. It's not their fault. Don't forget your mic.
그냥 바로 꽂아요. Having a hard time. Then do I have to use this too? Oh, that's working. Good evening, everyone. Should we just get started with this group? Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight to get to know about what we will be doing in high school at TCIS. My name is Ms. So-hyun, and I'm one of the DP college counselor here. I have a separate section that I will introduce our team, but I want to acknowledge that my partner is right here who will be leading the session together. Thank you for the parents and potentially guardians who are watching on the video. Thank you for joining us from overseas and all of the locations. So starting, our theme today is for grade 9 and 10 parents. We would like to start something new this year that we have been doing in school with the students. Maybe we just haven't had a chance to summarize and share with the parents what we do here. So I hope this opportunity will become for you to understand and get to know the detail of what we have been doing and what we will be doing with the students. So class of 2028, we named them Students of Potential, and class of 2029, we named them Students of Passion. Before I start, there are QR codes on the table and also here in the slides as well that we provide Korean translation, and also this is shared via email, so you can find the attachment that we shared earlier. I would like to start with a prayer. So if anybody would like to join a prayer with me, please do so. Dear Lord, thank you for each family gathered here this evening. We are grateful for those parents and their time, care, and love that they pour into their teenagers each day. As they guide their children through these important early high school years, we ask that you bless them with patience, wisdom, and encouragement. Be with these students as they grow, explore their interests, and begin to consider the path ahead of them. Thank you that each one is uniquely made with purpose. Help them to build confidence, make thoughtful choices, and remain open to your leading in both the big and small decisions. We pray that you go before them and walk with them in the days ahead. Remind them of your presence, guide the steps, and give them wisdom as they continue to learn and grow. Bless our time together tonight, Lord, and may it be meaningful and encouraging for all. Thank you for your love. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Thank you so much. So I will officially introduce our team. Here, I have my awesome partner, DP College Counselor, who will be working with students A through K by their last name, Jack Lopez. And my name is Ms. So-hyun Jung, and I'm also working alongside with Jack and helping with students, some K, but officially through L to Z. And we also, thank you. We also have our counseling administrative assistant who manages all these events and also a lot of little and big details. Ms. Bomi Kim is present here. And we also want to acknowledge Ms. Kyung-ah Ri, who is grade 9 and 10 counselor. So a lot of you know her already. And she is also counseling co-head of department. And also we do have Ms. Gail Smith, who you know as secondary principal, but she is also our counseling co-head of department. Yes, and also our beautiful picture here too. Before I start, I would like to share some agendas. So I would like to start with some timeline and location information by the college and their destination, and also other factors that's important. And then we're going to go look into the closer look at college requirement that includes standardized testing, which is SAT, ACT, and an IB exam, and also written requirements, extracurricular activities, and community services that students do here, and written evaluation and recommendation letters, and college-specific requirements. I hope some of the terminologies are familiar for you, but if not, we will going to explain about all this detailed information. And then we will jump into your advantage of being a TCIS community. We will talk about rigor, expectations, and support that we provide here through Learn, Love, and Lead. And we also will be talking about college counseling framework that we provide at TCIS for our students and family, and also comprehensive counseling model that we are currently doing, and also the STAT and our individualized approach that you will be most likely to be interested in to know for the future. And then at the end, we will share some things that I would like you to learn from today's session. Yes. And then this is a lot of me speaking, but simply saying this explains about what we do each quarter, each grade level. So in grade 9, first quarter, we try to build students' strong academic habits, and then we would like to explore more during second quarter, what their interests are and what they want to do and what they are passionate about through activities. And then during third quarter, we stay consistent and committed to what we've been doing before with grade 9. And also for the fourth quarter, we are trying to plan a meaningful summer together. And then by the time they become 10th grade, we focus on extracurricular, and we try to continue working with the students to pursue academic rigor. And then we start to talk about some college options more in detail, and then also plan a purposeful summer experiences before they join DP program. So this is what your children are currently going through right now. And then by the time they become DP students, we start college research more seriously from the beginning of their 11th grade. And then we talk about SAT and ACT, and a lot of students, they take their first official standardized test during their second quarter. And then this is really fun part that we have been enjoying so far. Starting third quarter, 11th grade, we do STAT program to strengthen their profile through the depth of what they've been doing before, and also throughout their leadership experiences in their junior year. And then we do a lot of fun things again with finalizing college lists and start essays during this time. And then senior year, we continue what we've been doing in grade 11, but we also complete and submit early applications to colleges. And then throughout the time, we help and support students to continue doing so depending on which country they are aiming to go to. And then around third quarter, we get to hear the result of our application. And then what we are doing right now with the students are to commit to their final destination and prepare for the transition to higher education. So I said a lot of things, but it's all summarized here. And if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer what we do in detail throughout the sessions tonight. Some brief information for types of post-secondary options. A lot of our students aim to go to four-year colleges and universities. They offer a bachelor's degree, and there are different types such as public schools, which is known as state universities, for example, University of Michigan, University of Texas, Austin, and so on. And there are some other private colleges that we have an example. Stanford is a private college as well, or liberal arts colleges that students are aiming to go, such as Pomona, Claremont McKenna, and those colleges. There are some students who choose to go to 2 years college because they are very They provide 2 years associate degree, and what they are trying to do is to transfer to a 4 years college after knowing what they want to do. And they often are good for students who want to go to the workforce right away. And then technical and professional schools are the schools that prepare students for specific field. I've had experience in the past that students wanting to do K9 training. So they want to become a dog trainer and they pursue these technical and professional schools. And then global campuses such as Ghent in Songdo or University of Utah in Songdo, those are founded in one country, but they host campuses in other countries as well. So these are basic types of post-secondary options, but we are supporting students no matter where they want to go in their post-secondary options. And TCI's alums have attended higher education in these countries, not limiting, but most of the students go to Australia, Canada, China, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Japan, the Netherlands, Singapore, South Korea, UAE, UK, and US. And before I introduce my next slide, I want to share that we have special guests here that we invited and they are willing to share their own experiences. So we have class of 26 who are ready to graduate in a month and a half. 2 students here. I would like to acknowledge their presence here. Yoonha Lee, class of 2026, and Hyun-san Kim, class of 2026. I would like to start with Yoonha. And Yoonha, if you want to come over here.
Here, I'm gonna.
For the guests,
our streaming
yes.
audience.
You have to use this as well. Okay. You can go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yoonha Lee, and I'm class of 2026, and I am committed to Stanford University from next semester. Thank you. So I assume most of the parents here was expecting me to say what to do to get into top university, but I am first going to start with what not to do with students, by the way, because I think it really helped me get into Stanford and other top university in the United States. And just to begin with my little story, in grade 8, I started coding just for fun because it's just a field I never explored before, especially at school. And then I started studying mostly for algorithms and data structure, mainly for like informatic Olympiads. For a few years, then I kind of got bored with just simple algorithm problems. So I decided to go for studying AI and big data during 9th and 10th grade, especially the summer between grade 9 and 10. And then at the end of the grade 10, I decided to use something I have learned before for a few years and few months, especially in artificial intelligence, to build a real world project. And none of this was assigned and all of it was self-directed. So I think most of the parents want to tell their students what to do or what is the best for them. But I think in fact, just trusting them and giving them confidence and time to wonder really helps them get to know what they really like and really genuinely enjoy doing. And actually, I have lived in Singapore for 3 years, mostly during my middle school. So I was just naturally aiming for university in Asia. However, after I have started studying about AI and big data, I felt like I need to be in the United States for me to study further in depth. So that's why I realized although leading research and industries I wanted to study more was at States. So I decided, I kind of switched my path to applying more to US universities like in junior year. So I just wanted to let you know that there can be a bit of flexibility. And also, I told you not to like tell students what to do, but there is really one important thing that you must do to their students is that encouragement. I think during grade 10, I started in algorithm competitions, but I haven't had any like top good best results. But then I almost wanted to quit programming because I felt like, oh, maybe this isn't the right path for me. But then my parents and teachers said, try one more time. So I stopped chasing rankings and started building something the real world actually needed using what I have learned for a few years. So I think that's what parents, family, and teachers' encouragement really unlocks the next potential. And lastly, this is some of my insights I have gained from applying to states universities and other universities. I think it is really good to think about a spike your students can have, not like a generic one. For example, generic one, it would be just starting business, starting economics, or just normal engineering. And even right now, in my opinion, just artificial intelligence, robotics are very, very generic. And I think many students from the world and states bring the same topic. So instead of those generic themes of your students, I think it's really great to build a very specific interest of your students. For example, instead of business, you might say your interest is how AI agent reshapes business models, or how labor market shifts in the AI era, where the labor market are dynamically changing. And lastly, instead of just normal engineering, you might be wanting to say how engineering and autonomous transport systems intersect. So this kind of interdisciplinary plus a very trendy item, for example, in these cases, it was AI. And I think they became really a strong spike in students' application and very memorable spikes. And this is it. So I think just trusting your child, giving them confidence, and believing in them and helping them find their genuine joy always gives the best results, even from my own observation among my friends and other international schools. So my last message is give them space to wonder and be there when they want to quit. Thank you.
Thank you. That's why we love the live shows, right? All right. The next students we have that I would like to invite here is Hyun-san. Where is it? Where is it gone? Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you. So my name is Hyun-Sang Kim, and I applied to the US, UK, and currently I'm applying to the Netherlands and Germany. So I'm here today to share my college application journey and what I learned from that experience. So initially I wanted to go to the US or the UK. So initially I applied to those schools, and as you can see, these are the schools that I got waitlisted for, and in the UK, these are the schools in yellow are the schools that I got accepted to. And what I took away from applying to both of these schools is that the US tends to demand a lot more in their application. So often with the US, there's a Common App essay, and then for each school, there's also a separate essay that you have to write. And you also have to research a lot about the university to write that essay. So I found that just like researching for the US and applying to it was so much more work. And in contrast, the UK was a lot simpler because it's all on one application, UCAS, and then you just need to submit one essay to 5 different schools. And so the process was a lot simpler. And I think that's important to consider in your child's senior year, when they're already probably going to be busy with IAs and also preparing for exams. I think how much work the application will take is important to consider. And so more recently, I began applying to the Netherlands and also Germany because just knowing the current situation in the US and also considering the cost of going to the US and UK. So I researched into the Netherlands schools. So I applied to the University of Amsterdam, and as you can see, I got into the program. And what I found with applying to Amsterdam is that the process is definitely a lot more simpler, but like the UK, you also have to be specific as to what program you're applying to. And the other thing I noticed was that the school also replied back really quickly. I applied on April 1st and I got accepted on April 3rd, so that was also very interesting. And I also found that with the Netherlands, there is actually a liberal arts program, so it's not something that's exclusive to the US. And the way liberal arts works in like Erasmus, for example, is that in the first year, students can like try various majors, essentially. There's like 15 different majors to choose from, including like neuroscience, economics, international relations, and more. So it's almost like going into college undecided, trying out things for the first year, and then deciding by the end of that first year. So that's another reason I'm currently applying to that school. And I'm also currently applying to Germany, which has a much further deadline, at least for the winter semester, as you can see. And to give context to why I'm applying to Germany, it's because I'll elaborate further, but it's a lot cheaper, and I've also lived in Germany for like 7 years, which is a really long time. So I already have like experience living there, and also I can somewhat speak the language still. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages I learned with the UK. Is that UK programs are also a lot shorter, so they're only 3 years to get a bachelor's, but I believe they're also more intensive because it's like squeezing in 4 years of studying into 3 years. And it's also a lot cheaper to apply to, like I mentioned before. But with the UK, there's also a bigger emphasis on grades and activities related to the major you're applying to. So at times that means that you can't always include extracurriculars that aren't related to your major. And another disadvantage of the UK is that you have to choose the program as you apply to the university, and if you decide to change it, you may have to apply all over again. And similarly with Amsterdam, I found that the program is also a lot shorter for only 3 years, and the tuition is also a lot cheaper. In fact, for Germany, I believe the tuition is in some cases completely free. And the disadvantages with Europe is that, especially for Amsterdam, I've heard from like my mom's friends that it's easier to get into the school than staying within the school and making it all the way to getting the degree. So I have heard that some students have quit because it is a really rigorous degree. And with Germany, the main disadvantage is that you do have, in many cases, you have to take a language exam in order to be able to take certain classes. And this is kind of a summary of some of the advice I wish I had gotten during my time, and some support, and some stuff that I think would really help. So I think, especially with European schools, the process can be so different from US schools. So I think it's really helpful if your child like sends an email directly to the school asking them like what is required of them, because international admissions can be so different from like applying if you are a student in the EU. So like what I did was I would specifically specify that I'm an IB/DP student, I'm an international student, and then I would ask them like what is the deadline or what do I need to do in order to be admitted. And that really helped because sometimes the website was also very confusing. And secondly, I think it's also important to not overemphasize school reputation when it comes to deciding colleges, because at the end of the day, like the degree that you get from these schools is the same, and at times I think the pressure that comes with applying to like top schools can be forced if it's not something that your child wants. And I think it's also important to consider what a bachelor degree means for the future. Like, is it a precursor for a master's or a PhD? Or is the goal to start a job right out of college, like the counselors mentioned previously? And for the last 3 points, I think it's also important to consider like whether the tuition fee is worth the degree that you will be getting, and whether it's also possible to get the same degree at a much cheaper price. I think it's important to be economical. And for the last 2 points, I would like to say that please don't use AI to find information on colleges, because what happened to me was that I was researching for Erasmus University, and my mom found a completely different deadline through AI. And so she thought I had missed the deadline when I hadn't. And we kind of had like a very unnecessary fight over that. So I think it's important to note that AI does not give you the accurate information that you're looking for. So please check the website, or like I said, email the schools. And like on like a last note, I would like to say that this is like going to be a pretty intense and stressful process for everyone, including parents and children. So I think it's important that we support each other in that process. So, and to also like recognize that your child may be struggling and that every now and then they might need a hug. So, thank you. That was way too long.
Thank you so much. That was really. Thank you so much to our students. It really goes to show how amazing our students are. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Yuna already left. Hyun-san, you are free to go. Thank you for your time. All right. Anybody need a break? A tissue? Okay. Let's continue on. Okay, as my partner stated, I'm Jack. We are going to continue. University research. Here we go. Applying to more schools is of course not better. At TCIS, we do limit the number of applications to 12, and we pace it out. We make sure that we have a timeline, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later as we go on with our planning. We have the STAT. It's a strategic timeline and application tracking that we have created to make sure that our students are well equipped with the right pacing in our application process. Focus on fit, not ranking. Use My Learning, which is our platform for application management. And we use that as a search engine for university websites. It has AI integration, not the AI that you think. It's AI to make life easier, to assist in the search, to assist in strategic planning and things like that. Ask your counselor for suggestions based on your preferences. That's why we allow our students to identify those preferences, because it's really important to be strategic in each part of the application process. Meet with college representatives, university fairs at TCIS, and in Korea, which we have the World Fair, information sessions around the region. It can be in Korea, it can be in Jeju, it can be around Asia. We have Sharing is Caring, which we do bug you and spam your emails about. I'm sure you get it. I don't know if you already flagged us as spam in your emails, but we do share that a lot because we want to make sure that you are also equipped with the information that we get. Summer programs and college visits are also happening around the year. Road shows are also happening around the year. Virtual sessions, webinars, and events also happen all the time. Korea is a hot spot for a lot of these events because it is a really big market for all of these things, because Korea is a really good location for international students, because students from here are hardworking and really excellent students. That's why we're a really, really good spot and hub for amazing students, and that's our advantage. Okay, Maya Learning. Anybody knows what Maya Learning is? I just said it. So Maya Learning is our college and career planning platform. It gets better and better every year. We do research here, we research careers and colleges here. We get tips about college search process here. Miss Rhea and I just went to how do we say it, like a conference where the main person who I would say created it for our region, who started to bring it here in Korea, came and talked to counselors who have it here in Korea, asked us directly how they can develop it further to make it better for us. And they integrated AI into the system to make sure that it addresses the needs for our students. And they did the integration to make sure that it is up to par with how we can utilize it to make it more strategic for students. So in that case, the information is accurate and futuristic and state-of-the-art, and always going to allow students to utilize it in a way that can help them understand the process more. So let's try to use that. You have access to that. We are going to have Miss Bomi over there, to help you understand that platform, or at least have access to that, and we'll provide more information to let you utilize that platform much more. We also have TCIS historical statistics there, like how many students have gotten into that university, how many students have not gotten into that university in the last 20 years or so. Document management and transmission also happens through that platform. So we send all of the transcripts, the recommendation letters, requests, and all of those things happen within that platform. Students and parents, as I said, have access to that account, and you can email the counseling admin assistant, which is Ms. Bomi, to gain access to that. I think we are going to automatically do that later on. All right, so we get into this. These are the locations, as we said. The United States is still the most popular location for all of our alums. More than 4,000 colleges and universities exist in this country. Flexibility in selecting academic focus, as one of our students stated. It is mostly 4 years still, but there are different kinds of universities that exist in this region. The application portals haven't changed. They're still the Common App. There's still public universities that utilize their own system of application, just like the UCs. That's also very popular in our school. The UCs still have their own deadline, but for the most part, we will show you the deadlines for these. University websites also, for some of the top tier colleges, have their own application system. It is mostly a holistic review, meaning they look at grades, standardized testing, essays, recommendation letters, your demonstrated interest, your background, your extracurricular activities, your community service involvements, your projects, your leadership, anything that actually sets you apart. So they look at all of those things in relation to other applicants. The deadlines are here. So the terminology that you need to understand is, for the US, there's different kinds of application consideration. So for early decision, there's early decision 1 and there's early decision 2. Early decision, it means that you've decided that when you get in, you must go there. You should go there. It is a binding contract that they can run after you if you say no. If you get accepted, it is a binding contract. You must go there. If you don't go there, they will hold you to it. Results come out in December before Christmas happens. And not all schools have the ED option. So you have to really research your options here. Some say, and it is a myth, some say that you get higher percentages if you do ED. It is a myth. I'll stop there. Okay, early action. Early action is similar to ED. The deadlines are pretty much the same. Applications due early, typically around November 1st. Also, pretty much the same as early decision 1. And it's non-binding, so they're not going to hold you to it. You just know the advantage is you apply early and you know before Christmas. It's nice, it's sweet, but they don't necessarily all come out before Christmas. It comes out earlier than April. Restrictive early action is, like Princeton, for example, it's typically due November 1st also. It's restrictive because you're not allowed to apply to any other private institutions except for that one. So it means that they know that you have chosen them, that they are special. They are special in your eyes. So like Princeton, they will say, okay, if you choose us as REA, you love us. Yeah. So they're not going to ask for early decision, but they are going to ask, are we the one? Yeah. So yes, this is early and they will know that you love them. They also release the results in December. So yes, you might ask, what is early decision 2 then? So if you don't get into early decision 1, you have another early decision 2, which is due by the regular decision round, which is January 1st. The regular decision round, but it is also binding. So we go there. Regular decision applications are mostly due January 1st, which is actually the bane of our existence as college counselors because it is the New Year's Day. Why is it due that time? And also, your holidays are also disturbed, but I don't know why. It just happens. But yes, I guess it's because it's break and it gives the students time to work on their application. So we're just gonna go with it. But yes, regular decisions are due usually January 1st. Sometimes they give us some time and it's due January 5th. Thank you. But yes, regular decisions are due January around that time. And for ED2, it's also due then, but it is binding. Results come out March or April. So right about now, we have the senior class has received maybe about 90-95% of their admissions results, and they're pretty good. All right, so rolling applications, they come in pretty much maybe about 2 weeks to 4 weeks at a time. So it starts very early and ends very late to up to maybe March, maybe up to June sometimes, right? Yeah, so rolling applications, those are schools that would take applications very early up to very late because they have the system to kind of allow that to happen. Usually these are art schools or business schools that have the system to allow that to happen. So it's really very tricky, but if you've been doing this for many, many years, you understand it like the back of your hand. So here we go. We have also scholarship terminology that I think that everyone can benefit from. There's need blind. When I started this career, like many moons ago, 15 years, I would say, need blind schools were still a lot, but now I can have it in one hand. I can count it in one hand. Very, very little schools offer need blind scholarship, meaning your financial need does not affect your chances of being admitted. So they don't look at your financial situation to determine if you're a good fit to be admitted or not. So that's, I think, Brown. Brown is still need blind, right? Only a few schools are need blind for international students. Need aware, though, means that if you are applying to this school and they know that you are in need of financial aid, they may or may not admit you. Usually, if they know that you are in need as an international student, they might not consider you for admission. Unless you're a really, really strong candidate. Use that information any way you want. It can affect your admission result, it says here. FAFSA is the federal and state financial aid for U.S. citizens and eligible residents or green card holders. So this is a free application for student aid. So this one is where you can put your financial profile and submit it to the U.S. government for free. The CSS profile, though, is not free, and it gives you the opportunity to submit your financial profile to a school who can consider to give you financial aid, but you have to pay in order to get that profile to a school. So some schools will offer you financial aid if you give that CSS profile. And that profile usually costs about $25 to submit to each school. So it costs money to get money. Okay, US admissions trends. Here's some information that we usually update every year. Many US colleges continue standardized test optional policies, but some highly selective schools have started to require the standardized testing submissions again. Sorry for the typo there, but yes, during COVID times, they made it optional, but now they have reinstated it. Because to be quite honest, that's a metric that they still use for a lot of students to just determine college readiness. Standardized tests have always been a way to add that layer of, I guess, determination of college readiness because it is a tried and tested format. Overall selectivity remains extremely competitive, but international applicants' acceptance rates are still significantly lower than domestic students. And we saw that actually even if you're a US citizen but you have never lived in the US, it's still significantly low. The acceptance rates are still significantly low. Early decision and early action remains an effective strategy for well-prepared candidates. All right, so that's for the US. And then we go to Canada, our second, I would say, second to US preference in our school. Large universities are often subsidized by the government. Private institutions tend to be smaller, typically less expensive than US schools. It utilizes regional application portals such as OAC and Apply BC. Portals are straightforward compared to the US application portals. Each university program has subject-specific requirements, very data-driven process. It's very straightforward. All of our students kind of use these two application portals, nothing else. The UK, here, as one of our students mentioned, it's one application process. It's the UCAS. Typically, it takes 3 years to complete. With sandwich co-op program options, foundation options are also available. 2 application deadlines, one in mid-October, which is the earliest deadline that is allowable by law, which is October 15, and mid-January, mid or late January actually, for the UK. The application portal, as I said, is the UCAS, and we are TCIS is a UCAS center, and our students are well aware of that, and you are allowed to apply to 5 universities or programs. Very straightforward. Other regions that our students apply to, Europe, Australia, and Asia. Full DP for Europe mostly. Very straightforward, and they usually, I guess, offer admissions right away. In turnaround time is 3 days. Apply in the spring of senior year, very straightforward as well. Full DP for Australia. We do work with IDP, which is the recognized entity for Australia in South Korea. IB courses are accepted for diploma pathway, even without the full DP. Foundation programs are available for soft landing for students who are not pursuing the full IB. Apply in the spring of senior year, or actually pretty early with predicted grades because of our standing as an IB school. Academic year starts in spring or March of our Year of the Lord. And Asia is full DP with some program-specific course requirements, and students are required to submit IB exam results, actual IB exam results. Here's more information from my partner.
Thank you. Let's give it a big applause to Jack, who has been leading the whole information. Oops, sorry. Just give me one moment. So with that all information, we'd like to take a closer look at college requirements. And I do understand this is probably the area that students are most concerned, so as parents are very curious about. So what we need to focus on, I guess, is the core academic courses and their GPA expectations. People will love to, or college admission officers will love to know which kind of core courses students have chosen, and also what kind of or how much GPA or how high the students can achieve in GPA expectations. Typically, colleges are expecting certain credit requirements, meaning 4 years of English, 3 or 4 years of math, same as 3-4 years of social science or science courses. And especially for the colleges who if students are applying to science related, maybe it's better to take more science credit versus if they're wanting to do pre-law, maybe a little more humanity courses. So with the selection of academic courses, students are able to show which area they were focusing on and which area they have been developing over the high school years. It's different depending on the colleges. And also institutional priorities vary. So for example, mastery of unique instrument, expertise in endangered language and culture, experience in highly specialized sports or other interests are all seen in the application process. So if we compare general high school credentials and TCIS credentials, so core academic courses, like I mentioned, 4 or 3-4 years of math, 4 years of English, 3 to 4 years of science, and maybe 2 years of world language. Students are taking these courses through IB courses, either SL or HL, and sometimes the TCIS internal courses. GPA expectations, we provide weighted and unweighted GPA. Very briefly, weighted GPA, HL courses are counted as 5.0 versus SL courses 4.0 internal. SL courses 4.5, internal 4.0. Versus unweighted GPA, no matter which course students take, everything 4.0 based. So students sometimes will say when they have got straight A's, straight 7, equivalent grade, they tend to have 4.0 or very close to 4.0 under unweighted standard. Typical credit requirement, it varies, but oftentimes combining all together, it's between 20 to 25. And completing TCIS, students are earning 28 credit as minimum. So it goes beyond the high school credentials that colleges are asking for. And extracurricular activities, we provide clubs, services, action, CAS, Stuco, varsity, LASA trips, and so many other opportunities here on campus. And when we apply to colleges, we try to core based on the theme that students are highlighting their activities. And then we, around that, highly emphasize what kind of activities students have done. And when we look at standardized tests, IB, sometimes students don't see this as an example of standardized test, but IB is an exam that external entities evaluate, and it's also one of the really rigorous standardized tests. And ACT and SAT are some tests that students choose, especially when they want to pursue higher education in the US. English proficiency tests, TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo are the examples to prove that students are ready to jump in directly to the English-based program. And this is a question I always get asked. When is the best time to prepare and take these exams or tests? IB exams, it's all set date, so May of the senior year. So our students, current seniors, are studying really hard to get the IB exams and to get the higher grade. ACT and SAT, we recommend junior year at the latest because senior year first semester, they are bombarded with internal test, exam assessments, and other things like essays, applications, and there are so many things. So we kindly suggest to get ready beforehand and get it completed by junior year. English proficiency test can be a little tricky one. We recommend junior year so that they don't have burden at the senior year, but it expires in 2 years. And there are some schools asking for recent 1 year record before they apply to their colleges. So this can be a little tricky one, but we work with students and we sometimes search individual college requirement, and we highly suggest them to also go and research by themselves too. Going a little more deeply about standardized tests, students do not need to take both tests. SAT, we provide at TCIS. I'm also one of the SAT proctor/hall monitor when they take the test on campus. The benefit of taking at TCIS is everybody's a TCIS students. We are closed campus for the test takers, so students get to take the test in the environment where they are familiar with. So that's a benefit. ACT, on the other hand, we don't provide a testing center here, so students should find their testing center and take the exams outside. There are colleges and universities, like my partner Jack mentioned. There are some schools still optional, and there are also some schools they went back to test required. Cornell is an example. For students who are coming from this year are required to submit their standardized test result. We already shared this slide, and if you click this fairtest.org website, it directs to the external website where you can search which colleges are remaining test optional. So I highly suggest the parent and also the students to go into the website and check. And to verify 100% correct information, we also suggest students to go and check on the actual university websites. And for schools still requiring testing, be sure to check the specific testing requirement on their website. Sometimes there are certain things that they are requiring, for example, minimum score, or they can select certain tests to submit, or they have to submit every single test to the universities. English proficiency tests, regardless of citizenship, we encourage all students to take at least one English proficiency test because we are located in a country where English is not the main language of daily basis, and some colleges require, regardless of the citizenship of a student or parents, they are asking to submit English proficiency test scores. So just in case, by the time we apply to colleges by senior year, we don't want this to become a burden to our students, so we suggest at least to take one English proficiency test. And most importantly, our advice is to aim for a balanced academic profile. So it includes SAT scores, English proficiency tests, and also the transcript record. So the IB exam scores can be one of them, and we also submit transcript to colleges. So we want to balance those things all together. More directly speaking, if a student receives 1580 SAT and they get average of 4 in school, that's not a good profile. It's always best to balance the standardized test result and also students' academic achievement in school, because colleges want to see if students are well-rounded and they don't want to accept students who are ready from 학원 preparation with just high SAT scores. So this is one advice that we provide to students and parents. A little more detail, some other requirements. Written requirements are really significantly important, especially for US applicants. Personal statement to talk about who I am is very important. And in addition to personal statement, colleges ask for supplemental essays. Oftentimes, why us? Why do you want to come to our school? Or why major? Meaning, why do you want to major this? The reason these are important is because colleges are looking at a student as a human being and also as a person who has passion, enthusiasm, and wants to commit himself or herself to the future 4 years career and plus more. Some other essay topics are community involvement. The benefit of being at TCIS, the students are naturally engaging themselves to the community activities. So I find it easy for students to choose a topic, but this is also good to start thinking from grade 9 and grade 10, what kind of community involvement they have been starting and they want to continue for the rest. Unique prompt, I would like to give this as an example, and I want the parents to think about this. If you can have a supernatural power, what is it and why? This was one of the prompts that I helped like probably 5 years ago. If you want to write lyrics of a song, what do you want to write about? This was also another prompt that I helped the students with. So there are some colleges wants to know about who they are through these unique prompts. And here is a part how we support our students. Jack mentioned about this stat session that we started with the 11th grader this semester. We provide the stat session with us every week during one of the O blocks. And we also support students with essay session with our English teacher who knows the student and who knows how to write creative writing or creative essays. We also provide counselors essay feedback via Google Classroom, so students are to submit their essay and they can get honest, very honest feedback from us. When we say it's not good, we say it's not good. Some other extracurricular activities and community service that students have experienced here. We highly emphasize this is very important. The first one, quality over quantity. The number of activities doesn't matter, but the depth of the activity matters. And the balance between in-school and out-of-school activity matters as well, because students or colleges want to see students who have background of contributing to their current community with the expectation that they will continue contributing to the new school. And the reach where they can reach and impact So their impact on the community and ripple effect that comes as a consequences are altogether good way to show their impact in the community, and through their extracurricular activity, they are proven to become a member of the society. Some examples that we share with students: leadership experience, not just the goal, not just the title, but something that they have led before. Their commitment to the community, long-term service, and diversity of activities are good examples that students can think of. Is my activity showing one of these characters? That sometimes I ask the students. But most importantly, keeping the theme and finding the connection between all this leadership, commitment, long-term service, and diversity of activities, it's really important. And also the relevance to your why questions. Why do they do this? What's the purpose of doing this? Do students do this to enter the university, or do they do this for their fun or engaging way to connect to the community that they belong to? And continuing we'd like to also emphasize the differences. So holistic side is overall character of the student and ability, impact, and what makes the students distinctive. When it's asking for specific thing, academic performance and demonstrated scholarly strength, meaning their academic capability or achievement, are something that the college is looking at. And why is this important is its context. So consider how a student would contribute to the community and strengthen their cohort. And the human element, it adds context and personality to the application. So colleges would like to select human being, not an essay machine, not an activity machine, not the AI machine, for example. So the human element is still very important. And without this, decisions rely more heavily on numbers. So not the US colleges, there are some schools, some regions that is particularly looking at IB scores solely. And a few other things that would like to mention, some of the colleges specifically ask for certain exams. So we've had this year as well, and every single year before, students wanting to go to pre-med program for UK and Australia, there is a pre-med exam, UCAT. And pre-law programs sometimes ask for specific exams and to see whether they are prepared to come to pre-law program. And sometimes for certain scholarship programs or honors program, they're asking for exams or additional essays so that they can verify that they're qualified for these special programs. And of course, portfolios for art and STEM colleges are a requirement. I wish Yuna is here, but Yuna also had to submit her STEM portfolio to some of the schools. Written assignment or projects requirement are also given in certain specific colleges. And again, we will be working with students on these particular things. So we will be specifically looking at it probably around their junior years when their college lists are somewhat comes out. And I'm tossing it so that Jack, who has been here a little longer than I have been, can explain about her experience and how we do.
Ooh, that's a lot. I know we're packing everything, and because we really want to give you kind of like a lowdown on everything that we're trying to do. This is our whole entire program for college and career counseling, but we want you to focus on rigor, expectations, and support. I feel like for us, it's really rigor, expectations, and support, which kind of translates to learn, love, lead. It's learning, it's loving, even if it's expectations. It's kind of like tough love. And leading, which is also supporting. Rigor for us reflects the real demands of university applications, and it ensures that students engage with the process honestly, thoughtfully, and thoroughly. And when we created this whole college framework, we really wanted to make sure that we don't shortchange our kids. We don't shortchange our students. We want them to reach for the stars, but we want to be their safety nets too. We appreciate that they do have their dreams, and we want them to go far. We don't want them to water down those expectations. We want them to know that what's out there is real competition, because the IB is hard. It's a lot of work. And sometimes we also have to show them that they're teenagers. And when you're teenagers, laziness happens. And you know, when you're with your friends, you also kind of have to fight the laziness. But you also have to be there for each other, to push each other towards those goals. There's healthy competition, and rigor brings you there. It shows that you have common goals. You have common goals, and we get you there. We show the truth that this is not the competition, what's out there is. And when we show them that we can bring students to those places, like Yunha got to Stanford, you know, 3 turnaround days for University of Amsterdam because they trust our program. We also give them the expectations to center on student independence, just like that. Self-leadership, accountability is what we also expect from them as they transition into young adulthood. We show them that they can do that because they're ready developmentally to get themselves there. While we support them and we provide them with the clear structure and the guidance, the experienced guidance. Miss Ree has been here for my entire life, just kidding. And accessible resources so that they are never navigating this whole application process blindly or alone. That's why we have our whole team. I want to emphasize that Mr. Hidalgo is here. He's amazing. And Learn, Love, Lead guides us there. Learn, Love, Lead is our North Star. It really reminds us every day that we all together learn, love, and lead each other towards our unified goal. And your advantage being at TCIS is this: the rigorous academic program and extracurricular offerings at TCIS that my partner showed you leads to all of this. We have come up with an amazing college counseling framework here at TCIS, which starts not just at grade 9, we actually really pushed it further back to grade 8, and actually we are preparing to have it trickle down even further down to kinder, just kidding, to grade 6, yes, to grade 6. But we'll unfold that in another time. But right now, as we said, we are starting from grade 9, potential, and we're doing guidance lessons, care of Miss Ree, guidance lessons of introduction to college and career path. We're already doing that. Explore, discover, and start planning the path. In grade 10, passion. Guidance lessons of in-depth career and college research. We have done the push-in sessions. This is our second year doing that. Discovering strengths, career interests, well, together, but you've been doing that for many years. Discovering strengths, career interests, profiler, building portfolio, making informed decisions on DP choices and DP choice selection, course selection, and that relates to, of course, the future pathways. And in grade 11, we call it Plan, which bleeds into the STAT program, and grade 12 is Pursuit, which bleeds into the STAT program as well. So another set of advantages here is our individualized approach, which shows you our college counseling team here consists of many people. The grade 9 and 10 counselor, which is Miss Ree, the DP college counselors, well, we're a team, so you get 2 in 1. Although, of course, each student gets 1, official 1, but then we also work together, and sometimes we do work together. Well, most of the time we do. And then we have the DP coordinator, which is the academic coordinator. And then the deputy principal, the wonderful Mr. Hidalgo. And then our secondary principal. And not to mention Miss Bomi, who's always in our office. Yes. And then we have another counselor. I want to give a shout out to Miss Francisca, who's also a supportive entity in our counseling team. Yes, Miss Gail just entered back. This is our college counseling team. I mentioned you, so yes, that's you. Unique opportunities for growth at TCIS. I want to really give a shout out to all of these things that are in existence in our school. The Christian worldview, which guides us in our everyday existence here in school. We have the LASA trips that I hear from my students all the time, which is a life-changing trip. And I wish more students go on these trips because it's just amazing to hear stories from them. The chapel that we have every other week, the international and inclusive education that we provide here at TCIS, the supportive environment with strong emphasis on social-emotional learning and well-being that we intentionally really plug in everywhere we can do that allows students to express themselves freely. And we start that from very early on. We have the clubs, the varsity, the services action, the CAS, the STUCO, the NHS, and all the other activities that we have that allow students to really foster those characters and strengthen the bonds that we have in our school. I think it's just amazing to be part of this community that allows students to really emphasize a lot more than academics, right? So, in addition to that, we do have this, and as I said, this is the strategic timeline and application tracking that we have come up with for the penultimate year of the high school experience, which is grade 11. So we have the stat for grade 11, and these are just the main activities that we do, but these are not the only activities that we do in grade 11, of course. We have the intake form, which begins in the very beginning of the junior year. We have this in Google form, and then we have the brag sheet, which is the official beginning of the application process, which launches the process, because this is where they begin to ask for their recommendation letters, and then it then launches the considering list, which officializes their search, and then it goes into the writing the practice, and then it goes into the official sessions for college counseling. And it's kind of poetic when it goes like that, because then it brings in the pressure. But what allows us to enjoy this process is it really gets us to get to know the students in a deeper sense. And as comprehensive counselors as well, we get to experience this unfold in the time that gives us moments of fear and I guess safety. The safety of just knowing that they have so much support system in our school. And with that, I give you my partner again to talk about the next steps.
I feel like I come quite often here, which I love. So continuing from 11th grade, we continue helping students in their senior year. So senior years are, in a sense, it's simpler, but in a sense, it's a little more difficult because we start with the session and we finalize the college list. So it's a little controversial to say that we start with the final list because we work on the college list the year before in junior year. So by the time we come back from summer, we try to finalize so that students can focus on those particular 12 colleges for the rest of the first semester. And then we help students with a specific writing sessions with English teachers. And of course, during this time, we provide essay feedback through the Google Classroom. So depending on their deadline it is, by the early deadline or the regular deadlines or UC particular deadlines, or for the universities in Asia, we specifically strategize the deadline and then provide essay feedback during these critical moments. And then soon after, we get to hear admission result. So this is something that you can anticipate in the future. You or your child apply to colleges, but at the same time, you or their friends hear the result at the same time. So throughout this time, not just we provide these support for college applications, we try our best to support emotional and other supports to these struggling students or happy students with their result. And the next thing, we also collect student feedback so that we can continue support the students and what they need and what they want. So throughout the senior year, a lot of things are happening. And in addition to this, students are freely arranging their individual meetings with their assigned counselors. So after this second semester, which we are right now, we get to hear the result. US colleges, like Jack mentioned, by April, unless the waitlist colleges or deferred schools. Asian schools are coming here and there, whether they applied early or regular. Singapore is a tricky one because they don't provide results till the very end. Chinese universities are coming out pretty soon, so as Hong Kong. And Australia is next year, so we are still actually working on those applications with current seniors. So going to the end of the session, thank you so much for your full concentration. Things to keep in mind for parents. Building the right foundation early is something that we'd like to emphasize tonight. So at TCIS, grade 9, potential, and grade 10, passion are about exploration, growth, and skill building. The reason we are doing all these things is not to provide or not to give early pressure, but we are intentionally providing this to make sure that this intentional development sets students up for success in the later years in the DP programs. So again, we really want to highlight here that we are intentionally doing this, not to give a pressure to your precious child. And what matters most, I am trying to highlight these 4 things tonight. First, encourage open communication. We'd like to provide and create space for regular, low-pressure conversation about school interests and challenges. We are also staying organized and proactive when it comes to our communication with students and parents so that we can help your child manage deadline, materials, and commitment without taking over responsibilities. And we also are trying to keep the stress manageable. We also support balance and protect their time for rest, activities, and most importantly, family time altogether. And personally, I would like to highlight this the most. Partner with counselors. We would like to stay connected with the parents, so connected with counseling team and the parent and the students and guardians to ensure alignment and support. So just giving you some information, we spend a lot of time in school with the students, but we don't know if something had happened outside of the school and students decide not to share. And maybe vice versa. If something happened in school and if students decide not to share at home because maybe they're concerned if parents are maybe like worrying about themselves too much or so on, then we don't know what happened on each other's side. So we'd like to stay connected as much as possible. And we will have some time to answer to your specific questions, or people who are watching online, you are able to share your concerns or questions via email. But one last thing I would like to mention is the university fair that will happen on our campus next Friday, April 24th. So this is a information about the schedule, and we also shared in the email as well. So we are starting in the afternoon. So students will be hearing about some basic information for 20 minutes, and they will participate in the specific college short seminar, and also they will be able to join the fairs. We have at the moment about 36 colleges that said that they're gonna come. So each college will have their table, and students are able to visit their tables and talk about maybe their future, scholarship opportunity, majors, career, and so on. And we also provided all the college names in the email, so you can check the attachment. And for parents, if you'd like to speak with the admission officers directly, we would like to encourage you to come. You are invited to the PAC session with this particular colleges starting from 1:30 p.m. But at the end, we also have the university fair that's open for you until 4 p.m. So this will be at the B2 gym. If you have any questions, or if you're not sure if this will be a good opportunity or not, I'll say yes, this will be a fantastic opportunity, unless you want to travel all over the world and visit every single campuses. So I would like to finish our session with this as a highlight. But most importantly, we'd like to get some feedback from the parents. So if you'd like to scan the QR code and go to the PDF file you're currently looking at and maybe click, then this will lead to the feedback form, and we would appreciate any honest feedback. Maybe some of the information you'd like to hear more, then we'll be able to collect and maybe get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation, and we'll stay here for a little bit extra so that we can answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe video of thank you for coming tonight. It
Yes,
really means
thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
We would like to really share our appreciation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. Miss Ree, who knows about your children so well, is here. You can ask about anything, or us. We are here too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
Well done. I mean, they should have it.
Yeah, that was a lot. We made it work.
You guys crushed it.
I know.